Are you an online educator struggling to find your audience? Quasar Markets connects you with learners looking for you. Keep 100% ownership of your courses. No hidden fees. Already have monetized content? Get paid again and again. Apply today. Take control of your educational empire. Quasar Markets, where educators build their legacy.
Good afternoon, Quasar Markets Live, and more importantly, good afternoon, Agnieszka Wood. How are you doing? We haven't had you on in a few weeks.
Hi, Howard. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm doing great, and even better to seeing you after such a long time. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, a little vacation got in the way. You were moving for a little bit. How is the new spot? I didn't ask.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Awesome,
I really love it completely. Yes, absolutely. It was a good move. Let's say it that way.
Oh, I love that. Love to hear that. So, Agnieszka, I thought I would ask you today, you in your role, you help so many traders. And I think that you hit in a spot that's a little different where you deal with retail traders, but retail traders that are very sophisticated and that have a decent amount of money in the actual game, that are funded traders, a lot of them, and so forth. So I'm wondering, what is the mindset out there from that more sophisticated trader? We hear the retail traders are buying the dip just foolishly. You know, all the pros are telling us that. What are you seeing from that more sophisticated trader?
Well, what I'm seeing is that, you know, from the mindset perspective, it's not very different, because the same issues that a sophisticated trader has are very the same issues that non-sophisticated, if you would call it. I wouldn't even use that term, because, you know, the amount of capital that people have available does not really define their, like, do they have less issues?
Their ability,
fact,
right?
When you have more capital, there is a little bit more pressure, because you are automatically taking more risk, and your parameters of trade are different. I do also work with some traders who have been trading professionally, and now that they have switched to be a retail trader, you know, even though they were making a lot of money then, trading their own money is a very different story. So from the mindset perspective, there is really no difference where you are in your journey. And the fears, the emotions are exactly the same. There is a difference between how much resilience someone has, and that does not necessarily is you know, divided by whether you're sophisticated. And if you mean with sophisticated having more capital, then again, your resilience is something that will define how you are in front of your screen.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Just because you're trading with more capital definitely doesn't mean you're any more sophisticated or educated. It goes to the patent daily trading rules and regulations that I've always railed against, which are actually about to come down to $2,500. So that is going to go away, which is nice to see.
All right. You mean the DTP or
PDT, yes, is going to go down to 2,500. Yeah, FINRA has its proposal going through committee now, but they are actually going to finally get rid of that.
Yeah, you know, on the one hand, that's great. On the other hand, it's always good to have some sort of guardrails, right? Especially for new traders. When you come into trading, you are just focusing on money, and the rule that you cannot day trade unless you have the 25,000 has been something that was blocking traders from blowing up their accounts, right? Their default.
Well, they claim that, but what people did instead is they instead used 0 DTE options, or they just moved to the futures market where there was no PDT rule, or in my world of crypto where there was no PDT rule. So I would argue that, quite honestly, that rule didn't do much to protect any traders. And as you just said, just because you don't have a lot of money doesn't mean you don't understand the market. You know, they used wealth as a divider, not knowledge. I've always said there should be a test that you have to pass to get the rights to do these things through your you know, the same way that they do that a little bit for options. In fact, Robinhood's done a good job since they got in trouble, where it says, are you expecting a debit or credit? And if you answer wrong, it doesn't allow you to enter the trade. So they go at least that far, but we should
That's
have
really
some
good.
more checks and balances. Just then, do you expect to win or lose, so to speak? I just put on the screen, you gave exciting news to me this morning. You are reopening up your master class. Could you tell us a little bit about your master class?
Absolutely. So this is a masterclass where I do it only twice a year, and this is the second time. So the last time this year. This is a masterclass where I share the exact same process that I teach my clients in my group program and in my one-on-one programs, basically mindset coaching programs. And I take you through all the steps that are needed for you to develop the skills and the discipline that you need in order to trade profitably and with consistency. Consistency comes even first before profitability, because if you can't be consistent, you might be profitable for a week, but then if you give everything back, what's, you know, then there is really no profitability.
We've all lived those. We've all lived through those days.
Right. So during this class, I am not going to just, you know, give you the process, but actually a very concrete tools and talk about the challenges, talk about why this process is working, give you even some study cases to show you how it is working and why is it working so fast. Because when you follow those steps, and these are just very simple 4 steps to follow, you can make a change in your trading in just 90 days. And I know that it sounds really crazy because it's like 90 days is not really that much time. Although for many traders, it's, you know, they would rather make a change in 1 day. But what it really is about is really removing that resistance and removing those obstacles that most traders put on their own way to success. So the resistance, all the limiting beliefs, all the ways that people take from their daily life and they bring into trading and hoping that it will work the same way. However, market is such a different environment. It's regulated by a completely different dynamics, different rules. And I'm not just talking about trading rules, but just the rules of how things work. Insecurity, right? Complete uncertainty of what's going to happen, all the pressure, all the probability, thinking in probability. Those conditions are so different from how we have learned to operate in our daily life that when we step into trading, they're working, the way that we operate just works against us in most cases. Right. So during this class, I'm going to show how this is all working, or why is it not working?
Not working.
And why even, exactly, why even with your best intention and the best, you know, best behavior, so to say, like even when you want to do good, why is it that you somehow cannot get yourself to do it? Like, you know better, but you keep breaking your rules and being stuck in that loop. That's where a lot of traders end up, even though they have those goals that they want to achieve. Whether you're a sophisticated trader or not, it really doesn't matter how much money you're trading or how long you have been trading. If you don't learn how to exist and how to operate in those different conditions, it's just going to be challenging, and most likely you won't be achieving results that you're looking for.
Absolutely. You know, you hit on a few of the subjects that we talk about a lot. You know, you and I together, but also with all the other educators at Quasar. You know, number one is, how do you handle it when you're actually in the trade? We can all have, it's like they used to say, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. When you get punched in the face, how do you react to that? You know, what is, you know, your reaction versus your, you know, your plan. And then the other part, like you said too, is, you know, developing those inner sense of when you are FOMOing into the same mistake time after time again. We all we all have that problem, right? I mean, I still to this day have some of the same issues I had 4 or 5 years ago, that if I'm not careful, I can follow back into those same, type of situations.
Yeah, yeah, and a big part of the process and big part of your success is coming out of the awareness. So if you are not aware of what is playing at the back of your head, so to say, when you are trading, if you are not aware that you are taking this whole baggage from your life, from your experiences, and putting it onto the trading, it's like this filter that you have in front of you, and you are filtering everything that's coming out of the market through that information, through that filter. And that's skewed information. If you're not aware of what those filters are, or even further, if you're not aware that you're doing that and what does it do to you, you're just going to be trading on an automatic pilot, not really trading the market, but trading all your dreams, trading all your, fighting with all your demons and fighting the market. And it's just something that by building the awareness, you can start recognizing what is it that is getting you triggered.
Right.
What is it that triggers the behaviors in trading that are completely destroying your account, that make you lose yourself and then blow up your account? So the recognition, the awareness of where you are in this process, what is playing, how is it impacting you? Those are the very first steps that every trader should make. And I don't like to say should, but without having that awareness, you cannot grow.
Yeah,
You will be stuck in the same loop.
A few friends that that have been trading for a long time, that have been part of Big Beach Universe and now Quasar Markets as retail traders, that just consistently make the same mistake over and over again. They can't sort of get out of their own way, and part of that is that they don't follow the rules. Zora, as you just mentioned here, it's about following the rules I set for myself and being consistent. That they don't do that. I can't tell you the amount of times that someone says to me, comes back to me and says, well, I did this. Well, why? This, didn't you have it set the following way? Didn't you follow these rules? Didn't you, did you,
Right.
the thesis didn't play out, and they turn a short-term trade into a long-term loss.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the awareness is the first thing. How you do that, what is actually happening that you keep repeating those behaviors, right? And then how can you stop that, so that you, when you are falling into it, you have the tools to say, no, not this time, right? That you have actually the discipline, the mind discipline. Really, it's a mental discipline that you need to build in order to be able to stop yourself before this whole behavior, so to say, develops, right? Because it's like a domino effect. Once that first stone falls, the rest is just a story. And this is what most traders are being stuck in. I've heard this really cool comparison. It's a little bit like you're on a plane and you're jumping out of the plane and you didn't take the parachute. And now you're screaming to me and say, what do I do now? And I look at you and I say, just wait. It's over soon.
It will be over.
Because the moment that this first domino falls, it's like, now it's too late. You got to develop the skills to be able to see it coming and to prevent it from that first trigger to trigger. And
you nailed it. I mean, this weekend for me, it was just getting away from my screen, as I knew I was getting ready to FOMO into a bunch of different stuff in crypto, and that I didn't have the time to watch it the way I needed to trade it actively the right way. And I said, you know what? Shutting off the computer right now and running for the outside because, I'm going to set, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to trade it actively, and then I'm going to have to go do what I have to do during the weekend. And I'm going to say, okay, well, now I'll set these things that aren't in the parameters that my thesis was. And I always lose in those, because it's trying to, manage by the minute, not by the actual trade. And, it's funny how you said that, because I've one of the few times I actually listened to myself and was smart and was happy that I didn't actually have a trade on. As we talk about, no trade is the trade sometimes.
Absolutely. And, congratulations on being able to walk away, because how many traders cannot walk away? They cannot literally get themselves to shut the platform down and walk away. And this has to do also with your integrity, right? With your, what I call trader's identity. Like, what kind of traders do you want to be? And get the skills, because it's really a set of skills that you need to have in order to embody that trader that you want to be. It is not just like, oh, I want to be that person, and then it's happening magically. If you want to be an athlete, or no matter what your goal is, you got to make a plan. You got to get the skills, and you got to get there by doing something, not just by sitting and wishing, having the hopeful thinking that maybe something will change. There are actually steps you can take to achieve those goals.
Right.
Make a plan based on those goals, and then focus on that plan so that you can get to those goals. Then plan become your goal.
Right.
What most traders do, unfortunately, is constantly focusing on that end result, which is money, and think that this is how I have to think. I have to think about making money. That's like the most detrimental thing in trading, thinking about money. If you keep focusing on the result, you completely forget about how you are actually going to get there.
You got to focus on the process also. If you don't focus on the process, you're never going to get to the end result. You might luckily get there one day or not. And I do think that's a huge thing to say. Is it's important, because so many traders also, they bail out too quickly. You know what I mean? You have the right trade, and how many times do you get that trader that comes in and says, man, Agnieszka, I was right on Carvana, but I got shaken out. No, you didn't follow your plan. You didn't get shaken out. You didn't follow your plan. You had a right plan, and you just couldn't do it. Yeah. I do want to point back to your master class here, because it is so important to point out this is free. I want to say this again to everybody. Yes. This is free. Yes. You have
That's
nothing
why I do it only twice a year.
and everything to gain. I attended her last one. It is fantastic. I highly recommend attending this. Agnieszka gives away very much, one of my favorite people on Quasar, because she does have so many different tools that she does give back to the community. And there I use her discipline, her daily worksheet, basically, that tells me my diary, I guess we would call it, that shows me how to use consistency in my trading, that I know has helped me. And as I've said many times, not only helped me more with my trading, but has helped me more with my work-life balance within trading. It does a lot there to make sure you're doing the right things outside of trading. They're on where you, that's a great question there. I put it, it's on the very bottom, on the bottom of the screen going across right now. You can find that at www.aheadcoach.com. That's where you find all of Agnieszka's stuff, and you can sign up right there. I also have the link. Let me put it back up here for the actual masterclass right here. So I will put that link here right now too.
You can go to tradingmindsetmasterclass.com. It might be easier to type it. Or if you go to aheadcoach.com, you will see it on top. There's this yellow bar, and that's where it will take you to the page that Howard has.
One right here. If you click on this, you'll see it sends you right to it.
Yes.
That easy. I will tell you that is how quickly it takes to do it. So there is no excuses not to sign up. And I will tell you again, Agnieszka always brings a lot of information to these. She answers questions, and it's designed for the everyday trader, exactly for the people that are watching this show right now. You know, as I said, I feel like she sometimes has a more sophisticated trader. As she pointed out, they just maybe have a little bit more money to play with than others right now. But you know what Agnieszka does is it helps, you know, traders that have been doing it a long time, like myself and Big Beat, who use some of her tools and lessons in our trading every day. But especially if you're really trying to figure out how to break out of those cycles of losing, this is where you're going to get that advice. This is where, you know, you're going to get those pearls of wisdom that she brings to us every Monday. Agnieszka,
and
what
you know,
else do you have here for us before we
well,
take
you
off
know,
for the
I want to talk a little bit more about the plan, because sometimes,
awesome,
you know,
awesome.
like the way that we trade is the way that we live. And usually in our lives, we make plans. We make plan for the dinner, we make plan for the week, we make plan for weekends and for vacations, right? And we actually make those plans. It's like we put actions on what we need to do in order to realize those goals, right? Like if we go on vacation, for example, we try to think, how am I going to get there? Well, in trading, usually the plan is I'm going to make money, or I'm going to sit here and see what happens. You will see what happens. You don't even have to wait. I can tell you what's going to happen. If you don't have a plan, you are probably going to blow up your account, or you jump into your automatic behavior and then go on tilt. That's what's going to happen. And maybe you'll be lucky one time, but that is not sustainable. So if you really think about having a plan, make sure that your plan has actions in it. How are you going to achieve? What are the steps that you need to take to achieve your goal? What are those steps translating to on a daily basis? When you are actually sitting in front of the chart, what is it that you are going to look for? What is it that your focus will be on for today? Even to the point where you can say, okay, this is the amount of points, for example, that I want to make a certain day or this week. How does this translate into your strategy, into your setup? Like, be very specific. The more specific you are, the more confidence you will have that your goal is achievable. Or maybe it's completely unrealistic. This will help you to manage your expectations much better and not just hope for the best, because being there and just see what happens is not how you achieve your goals. So during the class, we are going to talk about the 4-step process, and I will help you to also see a little bit more, like, what are your expectations? How do you see yourself? Where are those? Where is the gap? And how you can bridge that. So if you have some audacious goals for your trading, for yourself, for your life, please make sure you join the class. I love to give a lot of personal attention during the class, so there will be time to ask your questions, and it's not like the time is limited. Usually we stay as long as it takes until you drop off, because I usually don't drop off from my classes. You can ask my my students.
Absolutely.
In fact, we just finished my signature program, the Rise Up of the Profitable Trader. We have a graduation session today, and just seeing the results that my students have achieved within just the 90 days is absolutely amazing. Changes in not just in trading, but also in life, completely switching how they approach themselves, but also how they approach trading, and being able to walk away when it's needed, not beating themselves up when they take a loss, not chasing the losses just to make their money back. Because remember, when you want to be profitable, you cannot focus on the losses. So if you are still focusing on how much money you're losing and trying to make it back, you got to switch your focus. And that's what I will try to help you do during the class. So awesome. Everyone is welcome.
That is amazing. Like I said, Agnieszka has done so much to help my trading over the years here. And I know she's done so much for so many of her clients. We talk about them all the time, her and I. No one gets more excited that when, you know, at these graduation days to see the success of her students than Agnieszka does. So make sure you sign up, please, for that Agnieszka, I know I'll be there on the 20th to take a look at this for sure.
Yes,
And
August
we'll have
20th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And if you cannot join live, sign up anyway. There will be a replay from the class available 7 days after the class. So make sure that that you reserve your seat, even if you cannot join live. But live would be the best because then we can actually talk.
Right, you can actually answer their questions. Amazing,
Exactly.
like always, Agnieszka. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Quasar Markets, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Agnieszka, we'll see you next Monday.
Thank you so much, Howard. Take care.